Hello, hello. I
Hello, are we
think we're
live?
I think we are. Hello, if you can hear us, let us know. Well, we are like troubleshooting. We had a couple different random tech issues pop up at the last minute. So
Are we still having?
let's see.
Am
There we
I?
go. Okay, I think we're getting things. Things are happening. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in the world right now. Ah, yes, we are troubleshooting live. It is all good. I'm watching the live stream right now. I can see
Okay,
people can hear us. All good.
I think for a while it was showing it wasn't
Okay,
supposed to be
great.
my video, but it was Anna's name with
Yes.
British and American flag,
Yep.
but
So
it's
you
supposed
get
to be me.
yeah. So you guys get to see exactly what it's like when we're trying to figure out all the things, but it's okay, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you get when we're live. There's bound to be things that are like, "Oh crap. Let's fix this." Tech issues are
Absolutely.
always a thing.
Joanna, hello.
Hello.
All right, all right. I'm very excited about. I feel like every
All
time we talk,
right.
I'm like, I'm very excited about today's topic, but I am because it's reading.
I'm actually really excited about today too, because my started a job with a reading tool. So, I actually have
Mhm.
something to say today
What kind
There
of
we go.
reading tools?
as a resident lazy reader.
What was the
Yes, it's called Book Fusion.
mhm.
It's like a reader app, but it allows you to distill more information, save highlights, and send them to Notion. So you can like, or Obsidian, and you can
You
link
said the
and pull out all of your the magic word, right?
yes. It can send it to Notion.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like, by early next year, we're shipping the ability to send to Anki as well. So,
You said book fusion?
uh-huh.
Done.
Damn, I
Say
need to sign
less.
up for affiliate. Yeah. Well, it is super cool because there's in-app translation, there's the audio thing, like there's 100 different voices you can use and it reads it out loud. And yeah, the highlights features just can also use widgets on your if you have iPhone or Mac. You can use widgets and display like a carousel of your highlights that I love to see, all of that. Um, the customizability of the reading settings is just so next level. And you can sync with Calibre too. So if you pull books or borrow books from other places, like libraries
Mhm.
and stuff like that, you can do that. You can upload PDFs. Yeah, so I have been getting back into reading. I was using this app before I started working for them, actually. I used it for a year and I was like, this is bomb. I think you need marketing. And then I reached out to them and here we are. So,
Nice.
Mhm.
You're like, I
yeah.
think people need to know about this, and I'm gonna help you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm already signing up. I'm like, this is gonna be my new thing now.
I think that would really help me with like academic kind of writing, but when I read for fun, I like having like a physical book because I like to distinguish between like
Yeah.
work and like my reading for pleasure. And I
Yeah.
want to have time away from a screen for once. So when I'm reading for pleasure or like for languages, I tend to have like go out and buy like a book that I can just take with me anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That makes sense still.
I think for my like,
I
I'm still
you
learning,
I,
studying. I would use this, but yeah, I agree. When I'm like reading for pleasure, I like the book in my hands.
Yeah.
you see, as someone who is constantly traveling, I mean, maybe now that I have a base, I can have some physical books, but I had to just
Yes.
ban myself from doing that because I would just break my back.
That makes sense.
That was something I kept considering as well,
just
because I don't know
I
how
had
long
to.
I'm gonna live here, but I guess I've been here so long that I just kind of gave up and decided I'm gonna buy these books.
You're like this
I'll just
temp.
pay for them to be moved.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So we should be doing some
So, everyone,
introductions.
today's topic, if you haven't been able, yes, so if you haven't been able to catch on, guys, today's topic is related to reading. We are inspiring some seasonal reading. It is cozy time for most of you. I'm in Jamaica, so I can't tell the difference, but um word is the word on the street is that it's time to stay indoors and pull out a book. And we here at GG, we love seasons. We love different little focus bouts because, as you guys may know, learning a language is really different for every skill. So
Hmm.
it's not about being able to progress in everything all at once. In fact,
Yes.
you will progress more steadily, more securely if you do things in sprints, if you do things in focus sessions. So since it's cozy and whatnot, we're trying to do a little bit of diving into reading. We even have a special guest.
Yes.
Jazz, my dear, would you like to introduce
Wait, this
yourself to
way.
the audience?
I'm Jazz. My name is Jazz Rael, but call me Jazz. I am currently a PhD student and I do research in second language learning, and I focus mostly on how anxiety impacts oral fluency. But I like learning languages for fun, and I have for many years of my life. So it's kind of like a hobby and work at the same time. So yeah, that's me.
Mhm. I absolutely love your topic. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, so you're writing a paper about me.
Yeah. And love students because I used to be an English teacher as well. I used to teach English as a second language.
Yeah, that's like what I did. I wrote a paper about myself. It was like the fear of failure. I might as well explore it since I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see.
Bronte, you now also have to introduce yourself because even though you are a staple now for talk series, please tell us who you are.
Oh yes, yes. Okay, so I am Bronte, also known as the Polyglot Fox, literally everywhere. Um, I am a teacher, a language coach, a polyglot, a nerd, a gamer, like all introvert. The list goes on. Um, but I really focus on helping. Well, what I do can help everyone. I tend to uh gravitate, or the people tend to gravitate towards me, are like the introvert learners who are tired of having to people all the time in order to learn languages, or my fellow neurodivergent people, my ADHD, my autistic learners, who are like, these strategies are just not working for me. And there's something wrong with me, and I'm here to say it's not. um and yeah, that means I also get to learn languages and continue doing that, which I am obsessed with. with but yeah, I'm very glad to be here,
Amazing.
and reading is one of the things that I consistently do every single day. Like, I can't go a day without reading, and I've been like this since I was reading. So like, what, 6, 8 ish on my own, and I have to have something.
Mhm. When you
Very.
mentioned that you are focusing on learning languages without having to people, reading,
Yeah.
it seems like it's so relevant to that because that's another way you could learn without having to interact with anybody.
Yes. Yep. It's why I have so many like additional like subset strategies around reading, because I'm like, I mean, at some point, if speaking is what you want to do, you have to open your mouth and speak. But there are so many skills that are required for that, and
Mhm.
reading is one of the things that you can do to help you with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think Ray and I have talked, Ray
Absolutely.
and I, where we're like, Ray is definitely like a speak first person, and I'm like a sit and read
Yes.
first person.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm seeing Maku saying he's on my team. He's saying, "Oh, I'm such a bad reader." Yeah, I am not a great reader in any of my languages. I'm actually really pissed off that it takes me so long to read in English, even because I enjoy reading, absolutely. But
Mm.
it takes me really long. I don't know how people read so many books in a month, and I've stopped trying to figure it out because people just like, oh, you just read. I'm like, okay. I still, even when I try hard to read every day, I tend to finish like a book a month, which sounds really sad. Please don't judge me.
No
Uh,
judgment.
I don't
but
think it's
yeah.
because even I read like
Yeah.
a bit per day, so it will still take me a long time to read a book. Like I'm not a fast reader, but I just enjoy
Mm.
reading, so I'll just do a little bit every day, and it takes me how long it takes me. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. And a lot of these spaces where you have experts or people who have learned lots of languages or have lots of experience, they're forcing you to say, "Oh, you have to do this and do that, and you need to learn a lot and whatever." And one of like the key things about the things that we promote here is that you should absolutely take the time that you're supposed to take. Like, don't push to more or even narrow down because of standards. So yeah, you heard it here. The polyglots take their time.
Yes.
And uh, yeah, and as you can imagine, in languages that are not my native language, I take even longer. So
Yeah. And also, it's okay to have those standards change over time. So, like when I was in high school and in college, I read a book like every 3 days max. Like I was reading all the time. My mom would be like, "Why are you going through books so fast?" I'm like, "I don't know, but I'm just sitting there in my free time with a book in my hand 24/7." Now, it takes me a lot longer, probably stamina, probably stress, life happens, adulting. But I don't, or I've worked hard to not feel guilty, as a reader in the reading world,
mm,
because there's a lot of guilt that, just like in language learning, how there's a lot of guilt in the community, in the reading community, there's a lot of guilt of what you're doing right or wrong. I'm like, well, I'm doing what I enjoy and what works for me at this point in time in my life, and that's okay. So if you have changed in
yeah.
a way that wasn't what you were doing before, that's also okay because you're listening to what you need right now in the moment.
Yeah. And if it's not something that you're doing
This
to
space
pass a grade or anything like that, then
Yeah.
might as well do it in a way that you enjoy it because that's the whole point of it. If it's not for work or for school.
Yep. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, this space, like we are all overachievers. I think we say it every single polyglots talk, but it needs to be said because even when we will be like, "Yeah, take your time," the community is hearing it in one ear and it's going out the other ear. So I say it every single time. Please,
Every
please do
time.
pace because it it makes the information stick better. So you enjoy it, you are not stressed, you're creating healthy habits, and the information actually lasts longer in your system, makes more of an impact. So don't feel bad if you are not, at the end of the month presenting the 10 books you are reading.
Yeah.
Um,
Or the
but
30
having
because you
said
read
that,
one
I'm
every
gonna
day.
read. Let's read a few of these. Oh boy, oh boy, oh god. um
Let's see.
yeah, having said that, let's read a few comments. See, I can. Oh,
Uh,
oh, sorry, did I glitch?
no, you're good. So
Bronte, do you want to
Joanna,
read a few
yeah,
comments?
Joanna is saying, I also try to keep reading for pleasure on paperback. I work with books and definitely need a way to distinguish my hobby from duties. That's literally what. Yeah, just the same. So I'm glad that there's some people that are connecting with that. Um,
I get enjoyment just from like the covers, like really colorful like covers and like
yes.
on the cover pages. And that gives
Yep.
me like another pleasure. As-
Hmm. There's also something, not that it
Absolutely.
has to have it, but there's something about texture. on the
Yeah.
covers that just like
Yeah.
lights me up.
Absolutely.
um,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Um, Anna saying that also try to read only paperback, even if it's less convenient for traveling because it's just so nice to have a book in my hands. And I also saw quite a few people talking about using the paperback or like the physical books as a way to disconnect, which is also like
Mhm.
a really important thing nowadays because we're so connected to our technology.
Mhm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
um, okay,
Also,
Maku,
it's just
if
really cute.
oh sorry,
Oh,
go on.
sorry. Also cute if you're able to go to, say, a thrift store or a library or a subject-specific bookstore. Like, for example, I went in Poland. There was a small independent bookshop that sold Asian-related books, East
Hmm.
Asian-related books. So it arranged from textbooks to literature and also bilingual books, and in like Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and so one page English, one page one of those.
Yeah.
And it was just so much energy. Like I just felt so happy going into this little space where somebody is clearly expressing their hobby. And there's something to be said about how much sentimentality affects your ability to like feel joy while doing it, and therefore enjoy it more and remember more. You know, like you will definitely stick to the habit if you feel good about it.
Yes, absolutely. And I think part of the struggle that we face in our language studies around reading comes from our education experience around reading, which most of the time, if a student isn't already in love with the idea of reading in books, the teachers make them hate it because of the pressure. I'm like, that's what I experience in my own teaching, and I'm constantly like having to reframe reading for students to say like everyone can, there's so many options out there and there's no pressure, like you can read comic books because sometimes, you
Mhm.
know, at a young age they're like, okay, you're a teenager
Yeah.
now, you have to stop reading picture books, you can't read children's stories anymore. It's like, what? If I want to read a beautiful picture book,
Yeah,
I
that
can
really
do
helps
that.
me with Japanese. Like I started by reading manga because that was like the best first step before like, reading Japanese novels. It was a way to like get something at a lower level with maybe furigana over the
Yeah,
kanji, and it was a good stepping stone. So even as an
yeah, yeah,
adult, like
yep. And I think that pressure of like you have to read a
Absolutely.
certain book that you don't like or you don't want to read,
mm,
then it's like I don't like the act of reading at all because of these experiences. And then it breaks my heart. As an avid reader, I'm like, oh no, can I help you fix that? I can make you. I can like find ways for it to be fun, I promise. But also trying not to be equally
Absolutely.
pressuring about the whole thing.
Yes. Anna says, Jazz gifted me a book in Japanese, and I feel so bad because I can't read more than 1 to 2 pages per session, and I feel so slow. Sorry, Jazz.
feel bad.
I feel like that's a good pace for reading in another language,
Yeah,
honestly.
when reading in other languages,
Yeah.
especially ones that have different orthography, like it's very tiring. So
Yeah.
it's especially when you're like you don't read them all the time, it can be really hard to get very far. So it's don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
So I think some of the recommendations I give when even that feels like a lot, I'm like, then read a paragraph,
Yeah,
then read a sentence each session.
I
Like
have to
sometimes
Mhm.
argue
it's,
the book though.
yeah. Goodness.
Yes, actually, I just feel like plugging right now. There's a conversation in the chat going on about stuff that people didn't finish, or Joanna also likes to leave her books clean. So we're talking about how we like to read down
Mm,
here.
yeah.
If you are watching this later, you can let us know in the comments what's your favorite way to read. Are you very particular? Do you not really care? We'd love to know. Also, I just wanted to say we have a book, an ebook on the Gladly Global shop about reading and about how children learn to read. I think it's an intersection between the two. We have one that's just purely about reading, and one that's about like childhood learning, how to read, and how that can guide us as adults to learn to read faster and smoother in a foreign language.
Mhm.
um yes, and I definitely recommend it. There's some really interesting articles in there. I thought about it because Mark was like, I didn't finish the DG IRL edition, so we had printed one GG ebook, and he's like, yeah, I didn't make it through all of it, which is totally fine. But I'll just let you know that there are some amazing nuggets for those of us who like to read and want to know how we can go from step A to step, like, people like to go all the way to Z. But at least, I mean, I can't
I think even just A to B is okay.
check
You
out
don't
the
have to do all the things.
yeah. So what are we reading now, polyglots? What are y'all reading?
I should grab mine. Hold on.
What am I reading? So I haven't
What are
read
you reading, Jess?
any of my languages recently, just because I haven't really had time to study much these days. I've been too busy with my thesis, so I've just been kind of reading something that I like. It's like a fast read, and I really kind of like fantasy novels. So they're always something about like magic or something of that
Yes.
sort. And I think I'm reading this. It's a trilogy, so I've just read the first book. It's called Children of Blood and Bone.
Yes.
I just got through that.
Mm.
I really like it. It's based in Africa, and it's like a story where they have people who have magic, but they were kind of like banned, and like magic was taken away from them, and they're kind of now treated like as lesser people. And a daughter or a girl whose mother had she seen her got taken away and killed because of her magic has grown up and is now like the one who's trying to bring magic back. So that's the series I'm reading now.
It's a good
It's
one.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, my books. These are books
Mm.
that I've had for years. I'm gonna admit this is taking me years to read because I read a little bit and then I walk away for a while and then I come back and I continue. Um, so the first one is this Korean book that I feel like I always show all the time. This one is Kuyorim, and it's actually a
Mhm.
bilingual book, but I literally just pretend the English side doesn't exist because I'm trying not to rely on that. Um, and
Mm.
then this one, I never finished the book series, but I watched the shows. It is in English the Japanese that Japanese people don't know. So Nihonjin no shiranai
Okay.
Nihongo.
I've heard of
And
that.
Mm. Oh,
yeah,
I've heard of it. It's so funny.
it's
I did not recognize the English title at all, but you
yeah,
said the
I was
Japanese
like,
title. I was like, ah,
yeah,
Kitabatari.
yes,
Ah.
yeah, Nihonjin no shiranai Nihongo. And everyone's like, ah. Yeah. So those are my
Ah,
two.
nice. I am not reading in another language at the moment, but I did procure some. I don't think I have ever really finished a full novel or book that wasn't like a novella, like yeah, not a novella. Sorry, that's Swedish. Like like a small book, like a thin
Like
short
a light novel.
story book that's specifically, yeah, meant to be easy. The Swedish ones are like, it looks super thin, like you can hold it in your hand, maybe like 30 pages, 40 pages. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
think I've ever actually finished a full book in a foreign language. Oh my god,
Yeah. Wait,
cat.
novella's a Swedish
There's
word?
Novella. I was thinking of like Spanish novellas, like these like really dramatic like stories.
Well, because it's an
absolutely,
English word
there's
too. That's why I
yeah,
was
I
like,
absolutely just combined it. Is it?
Okay.
Is it?
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm confused
There's
now.
there's
I
different
I
stages of like
I don't
this.
know.
I probably only know this as a writer, but I'm like novella is between the short story and the novel. Yeah. So when you said it was a Swedish word, I was like, wait, they
Okay,
use that
okay.
in Sweden too?
Okay. Then it is a novella and not
Yes.
the Spanish telenovela, but just a
Yes.
novella. And
Yeah.
it's yeah, in between like a short story and a novel. It's usually like 30, 40 pages.
Yeah, yeah.
I have finished 3 or 4 of those in Swedish. But outside of that, I have never finished a full book. Oh, that's not a kid's book. I've read like 100 kids
Yeah.
books in Japanese and different languages, but yeah, no full novels. So it's really interesting to hear you anyway, Bronte. I will read like a few pages and then get discouraged. So I need to get better at that. But I right now I got a version of a psychology book that
Mm.
I really like in Chinese. So I'm gonna try. I've read the book in English already, so I think that that's the method I'm gonna have to go, because otherwise I get too frustrated that I can't enjoy the content. But there are books that I absolutely would read again, but I can't justify reading it again in English. So yeah, I think that's my route.
Yeah.
Nonfiction books I'm very interested in, or childhood novels I read, like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson. Lots of people do Harry Potter, right?
Yeah, because
So I
it's
think that's
translated
the
to so
method that
many.
I take. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think reading
Stuff
novels.
I've read already and would again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was just gonna say reading novels really helped me with Japanese, with like memorizing kanji and things like that. Like especially when taking the JLPT, I don't think I would have been able to do that without having read, especially because the exam it's timed, so you kind of have to get used to like knowing what these kanji mean quickly. So I've
Yeah.
read quite a few novels in Japanese, but with other languages, it's quite hard. I think the only other one I've tried to actually read a novel in Spanish, and I think it was called La Ciudad de las Bestias. I don't know
Mm.
the name, but that's the only one I read, and it was very slow for
Mm.
me. Like reading in that one took me like a couple months to finish, just because I can only do it a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Other than I think I've tried like webtoons in Korean, and that was okay. But yeah, starting to read novels in another language is quite hard. It's like
Yeah.
you have to get over that beginning difficulty, the little
Mm-hmm.
mountain.
Yeah. I tend to separate my reading into different like categories, I guess I would call them. So sometimes I'm reading and I'm doing more like extensive reading, just trying to get the gist of what is there. And then sometimes I'm like more intensive and I'm trying to figure out what is all the things that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I also, when, especially when I'm not really feeling the reading session, I'm a little bored from the reading, I'll start to read it out loud, sometimes in a very dramatic voice. Or
Mm-hmm.
like, if I were reading this to like a group of people, how would I read it? And I like get myself in this role to read it, and
Mm-hmm.
it just makes it a little bit more fun for me. And then I can, in another session go back to what I read and say, okay, did you actually understand what you just said out loud?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually understand the pages that you went through? And turn it into more
Mm-hmm.
of a study session, pull out vocabulary words and all those things.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but I do reading aloud sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially if it's a language that I don't like my pronunciation in, I'll just read aloud because it can help me hear myself and practice as I'm reading.
Uh,
So I've done that quite a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've definitely done it before with Spanish actually, because there are languages that you just can't speak fast. So you might be able to say things properly, but you just don't sound like them. You can just tell there's a gap between you and what people sound like. Um, so I used to just pull out the book, and even if I don't understand anything, I would just like read it as fast
Yes.
as possible and try to like roll the consonants together in the most natural way. And it did absolutely help. It did absolutely help.
Yeah. To get that pacing and momentum in the language and make it feel more natural. Because when we think
Yes.
about how we communicate in our own languages, a lot of the things that we say are chunked. It's not like individual word by word. And so getting used to where you chunk the words
Right.
together in reading, when
Yes.
you read it in your head and then when you say it out loud. See, reading can be used for so many things.
Yes, as you can tell, we've already identified like five different uses for reading and what reading really means. So I think one of the things is that again, we use our native language in such an all-encompassing way that we don't realize how specific the skills are and how much you can enjoy or improve in little facets. Like it doesn't have to be a huge exercise. So if you think that reading in a foreign language is only grabbing a hard book and trying to understand and looking up every word, it doesn't have to be that way. Actually, you can use the book and the reading to improve in so many different ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Does anyone else use reading books as like
Mhm.
a goal? Like I have books and languages that I
Yes.
don't know yet, but I want to know. So I just have
Yes.
it on my shelf in French. The Little Prince, I have that in French. I've never read it, but I want to wait until I know enough French to read the book. And
Absolutely.
I
Not
so
love
only do
that.
I do that, but that's what I teach my people to do. I'm like sometimes the milestone is getting up to the thing that you've
yeah,
been wanting to do for so long. And then that helps to narrow down what you're focusing on because there's so many words and so much grammar that you could learn. It's like, well, if it's the Little Prince, you're not going to be talking about like cooking,
mhm,
so you don't necessarily need to focus on cooking and food, but you might focus on like daily life things, or maybe there's a little magic if you already know the story or you don't. You're like, I'm gonna dabble in these subjects, but it helps you to narrow down what you're looking at. Yes,
yeah.
I do all the
Especially
time.
like for books that are in the target language. So, like for example, having a Japanese book from a Japanese author or a Spanish book from a Spanish author. Like a goal is reading it in the original language so I can get more
Yes.
of the culture and get more of the meanings that are not translated across to English.
Yep.
And so that inspires me as well because I want to know what their language is like and how they describe things and how they see meaning with different scenarios and things like that.
Yeah. And it's
Yes.
also a really good way to measure progress too, because if you look at the book before you start your like study plan, and then you periodically go back to it to just like preview and read a couple things, you'll get to see your growth. Because you're like, oh, I actually recognize two words now. Great, things are happening, and then it just keeps
Damn, I'm
going.
actually getting motivated right now. Like I'm actually motivated. Leave some hearts in chat if you are motivated to read today. I literally am like, wow, after this call, I'm gonna read for at least 10 minutes. You know
Yes,
why? Because
it's
and it
working.
doesn't have to be fast. Yeah, oh my god. I'm excited. Um, I wanna read a few comments. I see
Yes.
Axolotl absolutely thought that I was talking about telenovelas. Sorry about no, that wrong episode. Anna says I read subtitles when I watch movies. Absolutely. um, let's see. And there was a comment there. Anna said, I have so many books ready to be read one day. So definitely using books as goals is a great one. And Joanna reminded us that Anna has a huge collection of The Little Prince in different languages. So that's cute. Maybe we could pick up a book as like your collectible thing when you go to a new country in that language, even though you don't understand.
Yeah.
Maybe one day you'll be able to read it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember in the GG server there was I think a meetup for reading The Little Prince, and was it French? A French I think it was a
Yeah.
French event. So it
It was
happens. So you get to
Joanna's
do that with
event.
other people. Sorry, I think I cut you off,
Absolutely.
Jazz.
Reading club is so
I was just
cute.
saying, I
We
think
we
that
have a little reading club.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm like, I remember seeing it. Um,
Reading club is
okay.
great. I think we should do one of those in the accountability group one day. But we just do it like a paragraph a week instead of like a page, and
Yeah.
people would make progress. We could do the same book just in different languages. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, it was an event by Joanna. That's why I recognize your name. Hello, Joanna. And when you started saying that you were the creating a handwritten copy of the Little Prince, I was like, there's someone in the server who said they were doing that. It's you. It's you. So yes, that's the my
Lovely.
brain making connections now.
Yes, and for everyone listening, if you're not in our GG server yet, we have a free language server community with over 1,000 members. It is a very chill server. There's not a lot of pressure. It's not too fast paced. We're in there just chilling and sharing our hobbies, how we're progressing in our languages, our wins, our failures, and also joining cool events like the one that Bronte just told you about that you wanna organized. There's just so many different aspects to the server, but it's really what you make it. So
Yeah.
you have access to all of these language learners without the annoying aspects of these public apps. We moderate the server quite heavily, so it's a very safe space and inclusive, all of that. So if you're interested in chilling with us and learning languages with us, then please do check that out. The link is in the chat, but
Yes.
also literally any link in bio that we have anywhere on the internet, you'll find the link. You'll find the link. Yes. Anna said we should do that for real, for real. Absolutely. I think next week we should start a reading club. A
Yes.
paragraphed reading club.
It would be even cooler if
Yes.
we could find a
Okay.
book that is translated into multiple languages so we can all read the language version that we want. I think that'll be very
Oh my
difficult
god,
to
that would
do,
be.
but in theory, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I think it would be impossible. But you know what?
The little
Yeah, it could be Little Prince, or it could be like they have those short story series. I don't know. We don't even have to do the same one. We could do like
That's
we could
true.
choose a book, and then we could present like the main idea of the paragraph, and that would be nice too, because you could be like, oh, I don't know the details, but this is what I'm gathering from my paragraph. I said we just need to choose a book that's very translated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So like Little Prince,
Harry
Harry
Potter.
Potter, Percy Jackson I think is heavily translated. Um but it feels like it goes
Yeah, I
from
have the Percy
beginner
Jackson in Swedish.
to advanced. Little Prince,
Yeah.
Percy Jackson.
Oh.
We need a middle ground.
Yeah.
But
Think
no,
about
it's
it.
exciting. I like this idea a lot.
Yes. Okay, so we are about 45 minutes into the live stream. And today we are trying to stay on time within the hour.
Yes.
So if you have any questions or any thoughts or any suggestions about reading, we'd love to hear your comments. Maybe something that you're reading that you'd like to read, that you think we should read, or something that you've been struggling with reading and you want to get the awesome expert opinion from Bronte, the polyglot coach, or Jazz, the fantastic academic, you can drop it down in the comment section.
You can
Yes.
clearly tell how
Um,
passionate we are about the reading process, so we have lots to say.
Absolutely. Bronte, if you could give one tip to improve reading in a foreign language, what tip would you give?
I think it would probably be the same tip that I give for any part of language learning, which is make it fun. Because if it's fun first, you're going to do it more, and then you can like adapt and change the strategies you're using, make it a little more academic. But I think start by making it fun. And if it's dramatically reading it to your dog or your cat, or, reenacting the scene as you're reading it out loud, you know, or
Yeah.
just whatever way makes it fun for you, listening to the audio as you read the text out loud, just make it fun first.
Okay, so now my question for Jazz is, how do you make reading fun for you?
Um, well, choosing something that I'm interested in. So like a novel I'm interested in, a genre I'm interested in, or manga that I'm interested in and I know that I've enjoyed. So I think having a personal interest in it is kind of the way that makes it fun for me. And I also try not to make it too much like a study session. I try to make it a session that I'm just enjoying the book. So I try not to make sure understand every single vocabulary word or every single grammar point. I try to just make sure I know the main idea of what's happening and then
Hmm.
continue on. And if I want to reread it later, once I've learned a bit more of the language, and I could read it again and see how much more I understand the second time. But yeah, trying not to be perfectionist, I guess, about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think my best advice would just be to do it in chunks. So no matter how much you do or how little you do, just do some. And yes, I think Jazz kind of touched on it as well, but to read extensively as well as intensively. So if you are always picking the book apart because you don't understand everything yet, to try to include some time when you are just reading and you're
Hmm.
not being too overly perfectionist about what you are reading. And before we end, um, let's see. Joanna asked, "What's the longest novel you've read?"
Oh yeah, I was just about to answer.
I have no
Um, I would say two, although I think I got to the end of the first one and then just I graduated college and didn't finish. So the host in Japanese was a wild experience to read in Japanese, because there's so much fantastical technical words. And then for Spanish, I would say it's when I was Puerto Rican, cuando era puertorriqueña. Those are like decently sized novels.
Mm,
Oh, the host is like this.
mhm.
Well, it was directed. It's like this big. So
It's hard to think of like a single novel without it being like a series of something, but then that would be multiple novels. So I'm having a hard time
ooh, what
deciding.
series?
Well, if
Yeah,
it's
same.
in English, something like Harry Potter or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if it's in Japanese, probably I think the only full manga I read in Japanese was Death Note.
But a
I
good one though.
remember how many books there are in that. But I've only read one Spanish novel, and that was the La Ciudad de las Bestias. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Beast. That's the only one I read in Spanish. And then I think Korean
Okay.
it was what I call it, True Beauty. I think is the English name. Yoshin Kanrim.
Oh yeah.
Mm. That's nice. I in English, I don't know. Like, I'm not the kind of person to look out for the biggest book. Basically,
Yeah.
like to.
Hmm.
I think my sweet spot is like 200 pages. I enjoy 200 to 300 page books. But let me see. I don't know. Was the longest, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say some stuff that but I read, oh my god, I don't even remember the name now in Swedish, but it was something about like something and bo, tu and bo, something and bo. I don't remember, but
Mm.
it was about an old man who like didn't have a good relationship with his daughter, and trying to figure out like before he dies how to like get back to having some kind of relationship with her.
Yeah.
um and I read Noblesse in
Mm.
Korean. Oh no, the longest book I've read is the Bible. From cover to cover, and I've read, yeah, and I've read the Bible in English and Korean. So,
Oh
yes,
wow.
that
Oh,
Oh, that absolutely
that's my
counts.
answer. Yeah. Yes, it was a lot of work, but I did it. Yeah. hmm
hmm.
Yes. So Yana says, thanks for sharing. Absolutely, all books are valid. Anna said, "Lol, Ray be like thumbs up all stream because my video is off the internet was kind of crappy." So, um,
We're making it
yeah,
work.
we're making it work. So, all right, guys, it is 56. So, we are going to wrap up. We have some lessons to teach after this, actually, as language learners are. And our moderator needs to zip out soon. So, thank you so much for everyone who was able to be here live with us. Thank you, Jazz, for dropping by and spending time with us. Thank you, Bronte, for co hosting as usual. Um,
No problem.
so we hope that you feel inspired to pick up a book. This is the season. November is our reading month. We are going to be encouraging more cozy reading for this month. And I think we're definitely going to do this reading challenge book club for the rest of the,
Yes.
warm, cold season. I was going to say warm season, but you know what I mean. The cozy season,
Because you're
the
Jamaican
sweater season.
weather.
I can't really tell the difference, but it is raining a lot, and when it rains, I also want to curl up with a book. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. Okay, thanks for the company. Yona says thank you back. I am looking so much forward to seeing you guys again next month and
Yes.
in the server. All right, bye for now. You
Bye.
guys want to wait because I can't leave.
Don't worry, we've got you covered. Here's the second
Oh
one for Ray.
my god!
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.